Selena had been dating Mark for months, yet she had never seen his home. Whenever she brought it up, he always had a plausible reason to avoid the topic. One evening, however, he surprised her by offering to take her to his house. Mark drove them out of the outskirts of town, where trees and wide lawns marked the beginning of private estates. His car turned into a gravel road that led to a grand modern glass house. As they approached, security guards opened the gate and greeted Mark with respect, welcoming him and Selena warmly. Stepping inside, Selena was taken aback by the sheer transparency of the place, floor-to-ceiling windows surrounding them, offering a view of the estate. Everything inside the house was meticulously placed, exuding air of wealth and sophistication. Yet, despite its beauty, there was something about the house that made Selena uneasy. She brushed off the feeling, attributing it to the novelty of her surroundings. As the evening progressed, they relaxed, shared laughter, and eventually things turned steamy. When they moved to the bedroom, Mark, in a playful gesture, took her panties and hid them. He claimed it was for fun, a little game between them. Selena watched him place it in a small, ornate box on a shelf before they continued their evening. After Mark excused himself to get her a glass of juice, sensing an opportunity, Selena's curiosity got the better of her. She quickly made her way to the shelf and retrieved her panties from the box. Just as she tucked them away, Mark re-entered the room, startling her. "What are you doing?" he asked, with his eyes narrowing with suspicion. Selena fumbled for an excuse. "Oh, I thought I saw something interesting on the shelf," she said, forcing a laugh. Mark's eye lingered on her for a moment longer before he handed her the juice, though his suspicion did not go away. Later that night, as Mark slept, Selena's unease grew. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Quietly, she slipped out of the bed and searched the house more thoroughly. She found her panties where she had hidden them earlier and clutched them tightly. She was so relieved. Now all she wanted was to go home. Moving silently, she descended the stairs, her mind set on leaving. However, the glass walls betrayed her, revealing her every movement. Mark appeared at the bottom of the stairs, his eyes questioning. "I think I should go home," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Why the sudden change of plans? I thought you were staying over," he replied, confusion and a hint of anger in his voice. I just don't feel well," she lied, hoping he'd accept it. After the tense moment, he nodded. "All right, I'll drive you home." The drive back was silent and tense. As they neared her neighborhood, Selena spotted a familiar school park. "You can drop me here. I'll walk the rest of the way," she said, hoping to part from him quickly. As she stepped out of the car, Mark's eye caught a glimpse of the panties in her pocket. Realization dawned on him. "Wait," he said, reaching for her. Panic surged through Selena. She pushed the door shut with all her strength and bolted, running as fast as she could. Behind her, she heard Mark's footsteps pounding the pavement. He was chasing her. Her heart raced, adrenaline fueling her flight. She darted through the park, the sound of his pursuit growing louder. She glanced back and saw his determined expression. With every ounce of her strength, she pushed forward, seeking refuge in the familiar streets of her neighborhood. Reached the main entrance of her house. "Help me, please," Selena screamed. Mark, realizing he couldn't pursue her without drawing attention, stopped and watched from a distance, his face twisted with frustration and anger. He turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. Selena was safe for now, but she knew this was not the end. She would have to confront Mark eventually, but tonight she was grateful for the escape. Selena's heart pounded as she hurried inside her house. The safety of the familiar walls offering little comfort. Her sister, Claire, rushed to her side, concern on her face. As they huddled together, they could hear the sound of Mark's car slowly circling the block, his presence a menacing shadow in the night. They stayed up, terrified, unsure of what he might do next. The hours dragged on, but eventually the noise stopped and they could finally breathe a small sigh of relief. As dawn broke, Selena felt the weight of the night's event pressing down on her. She was exhausted and felt an unshakable nausea. Despite her physical and emotional fatigue, she knew she had to tell her family what had happened. With Claire by her side, she sat her parents down and recounted every detail from the glass house to the chase. Her parents were horrified but tried to console her. They prayed for her safety and thanked God that she had managed to escape unharmed. Despite their reassurances, Selena couldn't shake the unease that had settled over her. In the following days, Selena's condition worsened. She was constantly fatigued, plagued by headaches, and unable to eat. Her family took her to a doctor who diagnosed her with shock and prescribed rest. But as time passed, her symptoms only grew more severe. Desperate for answers, her parents decided to consult a local man of God known for his spiritual insights. He listened carefully to Selena's story, and after a moment of contemplation, he said he needed to see the place for himself. He asked Selena if she could remember the way to the mansion, and despite her weakened state, she nodded. The next day, they set out, Selena giving directions from the back seat of the car. As they drove, her anxiety grew, but she was determined to find answers. When they arrived at the location, they found only an empty field where the ground glass house should have been. Selena was in shock, her skin prickling with goosebumps. "This is the place," she insisted, her voice trembling. "I know it is." Confusion and disbelief rippled through the family as they questioned her memory. But as they asked around the neighborhood, a chilling pattern emerged. Several women had experienced the same thing, a visit to a non-existent mansion at this exact spot. The stories matched Selena's in every detail. The man of God, sensing a deeper, more sinister truth, instructed them to leave the area immediately. Back at the house, he explained that the mansion existed in the spiritual realm, a trap set for unsuspecting victims. He declared a period of fasting and prayer for Selena, believing it was the only way to rid her of the lingering darkness. Months passed as the family dedicated themselves to prayer. The man of God provided guidance and spiritual support, and slowly Selena began to heal. Her strength returned, with nightmares ceased, and the oppression weight lifted from her soul. She emerged from the ordeal wary but wiser, more vigilant in her interactions. Selena resumed her life with caution, always alert for signs of danger. She maintained her spiritual practices, grateful for the second chance she had been given. Though the experience had scared her, it also fortified her, leaving her stronger and more resilient.